And we're back live on your number one sports podcast, All Things Sports. I'm your co-host, Small Town EP, joined by your host, Wade Julian, and special guest for the evening, Big Kev Shot It. Fresh off NBA All-Star break in a week with only NHL, college basketball, and Champions League soccer, ATS is back to give you the real in sports, but we will start in college basketball. Gentlemen, Rick Pitino rips into his St. John's team. They have lost 8 out of the last 10. In their most recent loss, they were up by 12 at the half against Seton Hall at home and were outscored by 18 points in the second half. He goes on to say after the game, "We are so non-athletic that we can't guard anybody without fouling. It's not about losing. Even when we lose, I see unathletic plays in the film." Once the reporter asked him, "Would you have done your offseason differently?" he replied with, "We took who we could get. We had no choice." Gentlemen, I'll start with June. Is Rick Pitino right or wrong for these comments? And with 5 games left in the season, would you want to play for this coach?
Yeah, I think, I don't think it's right whenever a coach necessarily like rips his team in the media as far as he went, because he didn't say anything as like disrespectful. However, he was very detailed in what he feels and I guess what he thinks the problems are with this team. And I think it's something that could have been, and I'm not saying this is not something that hasn't been brought up in team meetings. I'm sure it has. So he's probably over it at this point with 5 games left. But there's still a level of professionalism you would have liked to see Coach Pitino have. He's a legendary coach. He's a guy who a lot of people in college basketball, I think in the basketball world in general, have a lot of respect for. um, and so it's a bit distasteful, I guess, to throw your kids under the bus like that. Now, on the flip side of things, would I want to play for a coach like that? I think that one, accountability needs to be taken, right? If you are the guy on the team who doesn't hustle, who isn't tough, and he's talking about you, and there's clearly at least 4 or 5 of those guys on this team, it feels and sounds like, especially with the way that they're playing, it seems. um you take accountability, and that's a great coach kind of trying to either do something to make you play better or poke, something to wake you up so that you might have another like fire burn it under you. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't want to play for Coach Pitino. I think that hearing that would make me want to be better and a better version of myself if, an all-time great coach feels this way about us. However, I'm not gonna act like I wouldn't feel some type of way, feel upset, and have some sort of feelings against that. But ultimately, I think basketball is a sport where you got to put the effort in, you got to put the work in, and St. John has been struggling to do so. But everything he said tells me like half of this team is gone, if not 75% of this team. He's gonna get them out of there, and he's gonna bring in his group of guys. So who cares? Right? Who cares if they want to play for him or not? I'm sure he doesn't want them playing for him.
I love what you said, accountability. And the thing that, before I kick this over to Kev, I think, if I'm not mistaken, my numbers might be a little skewed. At least 8 of those players he went and got in the transfer portal. And at least, I think it's like at least 3, it could be 4 exactly, but at least 3 or 4 came over from Iona with him. So when you say things like Sean Connolly can't move laterally, that's, come on. He even referenced that it took him 2 months to get them to do a bounce pass. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. Kev, would you want to play for Rick Pitino after these comments with 5 games left in the season?
I mean, if I'm like a prospect and that's my only move, I'm not gonna say no. But if I have other offers on the table, I'd probably look at those a little bit harder today, just because like I don't mind calling out effort, calling out your team, but it's like it's almost personal when you start literally naming players and talking about how this guy can't move laterally, and he like literally saying he gives you all you got, but he just can't move laterally. Like, that's like he He's just not good enough to play at this level. Like that's basically what he's saying. So stuff like that is like, okay, come on now. And so yeah, I don't know. I don't think personally um I would want to play for a guy who calls out his players, especially if he's saying like he gives you all he's got. Obviously, there's another level to basketball after this, whether it's, I mean, it's professionally, but whether it's in the NBA or overseas, and I'm sure some of these guys, know that they can't, and that's not a possibility, but maybe they want to try. And to have your head coach kind of put you down like that, I think any club is going to look at you, any ball club is going to look at you and be like, okay, well, he's giving it all he got, and he still can't move laterally, according to his coach in the college game in the Big East. So yeah, I
I,
kind of didn't. I feel like that was a little bit distasteful on
I
Patino's.
think one of the things that kind of stuck out to me too was the fact that he emphasized like it's definitely the kids that's got me hot. Like the school is great. Like I want to be here at St. John's. Like it's the kids that we have an issue with. So it sounds to me like I said before, they're gonna figure this out where this guy, that guy, y'all are gone. I'm gonna do a lot of recruiting this spring and summer, and by next year, hopefully, we'll have a better group of guys, a more tough, you know, group of guys. So
Motherfuckers that can move laterally a little more
this is
efficiently.
also a coach who has proven he's not perfect. He was part of that Louisville scandal. We have seen him take some L's, and that's part of the reason why he's coaching a school like St. John's. Not to say St. John's isn't, a good school. We
No,
know
yeah,
that
but
that's a
they're
step
in a dying
down,
conference.
right? That's a step down from like a Louisville and one of those teams. So, but hey, man, you got to respect who Coach Pitino is in this business as well. I think that's important because um, as much as we get upset at the older guys and the guys who have paved the way because they kind of talk out of line, I think LeBron James alluded to this when he was talking. Remember when LeBron James had his little old man rant and was like, they want the chains and the cars and this, that, and the third. He's like, put your head down, work hard, take the disrespect from the older guys, the OGs. Like it's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? And that's a bit of it too. Coach here he's trying to push his players to be great, and he's also a little ignorant in that. So just try to see the best of that as a 19, 18-year-old, 20-year-old. You have a bigger goal, right? Louisville or St. John's and Rick Pitino isn't hopefully your end game for your career. So just take this, you know what I'm saying? Take this as a learning experience. This is something that can set you up for a better chance to maybe next time you go through this with a coach, maybe in the pros, who isn't of the best. You know how to handle that, and it won't be such a curveball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like when Doc Rivers said they should have hired him after the All Star break. Anyways, I digress. I love that you said that he's not at Louisville anymore. Me and Kev were talking about this off air and that whole scandal. But it is a step up. St. John's is definitely a step up from Iona. I know he's a New York hometown hero. Iona is upstate New York. Now he's in Queens, New York with St. John's. So it's definitely a step up. But at the same time, again, you're in the Big East. This is a dying conference. This is a conference that teams are leaving every single year. It, it's tough. I think it's funny. He has a 6-year deal. They never give the exact numbers for college coach contracts, but he has a 6-year deal somewhere in the ballpark of $20 million, which will put him about $3.5 million, a little over $3 million every year. In the same press conference, he said, "I didn't expect to win this year." June, is he going to finish all 6 of these, the last 5 years of his contract? Or is Rick Pitino, towards the end of his coaching career? This is a guy that's been coaching for 5 decades now.
I mean, yeah, he like I said, he said some crazy shit, bro. But he's being realistic too. Louisville. I keep saying Louisville. Forgive me. St. John's. They're also both white and red, but St. John's, man, they're not good enough to win this year. I think the whole world knows that. He's kind of saying something he didn't really need to say right there. Um, But I will say it's going to be up to him to get the right guys in the building, right? The right kids on the team and prove that he still can recruit for the next 2 to 3 years and put, respectable basketball out. And so if he can do that, like yeah, if he goes out this summer and gets a bunch of good recruits and puts together a very competitive team, and St. John's starts making some noise next year and has a better record, doesn't go on a 8 out of 10 losing streak, um, yeah, things can be up. But I think it's just about how he builds this out, and we'll have to see for the next couple years. He's definitely gonna have a few years of this contract for sure. So will he finish it? It's gonna depend on if they can win.
Yeah, and you referenced 2-8 in their last 10. One of those wins came against DePaul, who is the worst team in the Big East currently, and the other team, Villanova, who's barely 500 in the conference and just over 500 overall. Let's kick it over to the pros. Fresh off of All-Star break, we saw a pretty entertaining weekend, minus Sunday, that we'll get to in a second. I mean, the celebrity game I didn't watch. I had no interest. I saw the Instagram post and I saw Kai Sanat frustrated when he's wide open under the goal. Anued, Puerto Rico stand up, is just doing what he does with the celebrities, just at the right place at the right time as far as pictures are concerned. Saturday comes around and we get the skills competition, which I actually thoroughly enjoyed the skills competition and the kind of little. I didn't actually peep the All-Star break last year, so I don't know if they did these same competitions last year, if this is something new with the whole shooting separately. The obstacle course obviously is
I
the
think they
obstacle course.
started that like last year, the year before. So
Okay, so I actually enjoyed the whole bounce passing thing, the team kind of aspect of having a shoot off essentially, and we see a dunk contest, which I mean Jacob Toppin got robbed, but we can get into that in a second. He by far had the best dunk. Come on, June, the 360 under the legs, dunk with both hands.
second attempt.
Come on. All right, cool, whatever. I enjoyed Saturday. Now Sunday, All-Star game, getting a lot of criticism once again. This isn't the first time that the All-Star game is in these headlines where it's just you guys aren't working hard, you guys don't want to compete, no one's playing defense.
Even 3 fouls called all game.
Shout out to Dre in the group chat that took the under 360 and that shit flew over. Crazy. Now, being criticized, can the NBA fix this All-Star game? And if so, what can they do, Kev?
I don't think that they can. I mean, I think Anthony Edwards said it, like, guys don't want to come out and compete, and that is I think the biggest difference. Like, Dwayne Wade broke Kobe's nose in an All-Star game, and now you see guys like there was not one real defensive play yesterday made. Like, everybody, it was the only steals were because guys were throwing the ball up in the air and guys would be there and it would be a bad pass, so they'd intercept it. But there was not one like one-on-one defense. That used to be the fun part of the All-Star games. I feel like you would get those one-on-one matchups, like even in the rookie sophomore game, and you had Kyrie and Brandon Knight, and they were just going back and forth. Like, those were the things that I feel like you love to see, because you get two guys, two of the best in the All-Star game, and you let them go one-on-one. In a regular game, you're not seeing that. Like, you're not seeing just a one-on-one, like, and one type of aspect to it. And I feel like this is, I forget, somebody said it, but this is, fans want to see the best pick. Oh, Kobe. Actually, this is a Kobe quote. Fans want to see the best pickup game in the world. And I think that's what the All-Star game should be. But we're in an era where competitiveness seems to have like gone out the window when it comes to All-Star games and things that don't count in the standings. So I hate the idea that's been thrown around, like, give home court advantage to whoever wins, because like, what is Scotty Barnes really playing for at that point? Like, there's Trey Young, like, there's plenty of players in the Eastern Conference whose team have zero chance to make the finals, let alone barely make the playoffs. So what are those guys playing for in those situations? So I hate that idea that's thrown around. So I don't really know what you could do. So I don't believe there's anything you could do outside of maybe something monetary, where you're giving these players a decent amount for the winners, or maybe something where if a team is held under a certain threshold point wise, they make some more money. So maybe there's some way to incentivize them monetarily, but I don't necessarily know of a way to fix the All-Star game.
Just to kind of just to piggyback on that, like, I agree. I thought about the home court advantage thing, but there's more guys in the All-Star game than guys that are going to be in the finals, so it wouldn't necessarily affect those guys. However, monetarily, I think that always helps in any circumstance, in any situation. So, the NBA makes a shit ton of money. I think $1 million for the winners. Each player gets $1 million. It's these players are making max contract money, but at the end of the day, I think $1 million goes a long way for anybody. And maybe the losers get a $250,000 check or something like that. Now, as much as I would think that $1 million would move, guys to want to compete, I think their bigger thing is like they think about the future going into the second half of the season, not wanting to injure anything, not want to re-aggravate anything that they have maybe right now. And that's kind of the mindset these days. However, you just got to look back, man. Like look back 2003, Stephon Marbury versus Kobe, going at it. Tim Duncan misses a game winner. Like it was down to the wire. The East came back down from 21 points to make it competitive. And the answer to this question, what can the NBA do to improve the All-Star game is as simple as having competitive spirit. Like if these guys played with some pride, right? If these guys came in and said, I want to. We owe it to the fans this weekend to put on a show. This is the All-Star game. The fans paid what $1,500, $2,000 during this weekend to come see us in random town, Indiana, in random town XYZ, in random town, insert random town. And I think as an NBA player, you have to have a certain level of integrity when going about this. As much money as you make, as cool as you are to everybody, as much as you don't need to do this, it was just something about how guys cared and competed about the game of basketball night in and night out in the early 2000s compared to I will relate it to the one and done era of what we've come to in college basketball, where I think that guys are very much spoiled in this day and age as far as NBA players. The checks come easier, it's easier to get to the NBA. Prospects get drafted, with way less on paper. And so because basketball is a very much upside potential. What can we see from this guy who has the size, the skills, and the speed and the strength, as opposed to the 4-year starter, who won 2 championships in college and worked his ass off, and he was great coached and he fights hard every game, right? Guys that are just built like that with that Mamba mentality. And it's funny because Jason Tatum is a guy who, I'll bring his name up again later probably, is a guy who has that Mamba mentality, idolizes Kobe Bryant. People say it's cringeworthy at times. Hey, if that's your idol, that's your idol. And if you want to embody that, that's great. Kobe Bryant was an all-star MVP. Kobe Bryant was an all-star winner. Like he didn't lose an all-star game barely. And he took pride in the fact that right now I'm going up against the other best players in the world and I want to put on a show. So I think just the quick fix is having competitive spirit and integrity as an NBA player. That's the lost art of the game. And that's part of why, I could talk about it for minutes and minutes and minutes, why, basketball isn't my favorite thing to watch anymore because guys take nights off. And I think the NBA has an issue there. But obviously, it's a beautiful sport. When things, get to crunch time, it's one of the best things you could watch. However, it's pretty sad that we're at this point where we're like, yo, well, maybe if they give the winners $1 million each, they'll try. Like,
While
geez,
Taylor Brown is making 300 million.
or y'all should just start picking players who would feel honored to be in this game and put on a show for the crowd and go about it that way. But the players wouldn't be happy with that, either. So where's the middle ground?
I think that they had an answer a couple years back when coming into the fourth quarter, they would say, hey, first team to get to this score wins the game. I don't know why they deviated from that. I don't know why they shied away from that because I think for a while we were seeing very uncompetitive basketball in the All-Star game. And then for the maybe I think it was like 2 or 3 years where they had that scheme set up going into the fourth quarter, it got interesting. It got fun. I remember LeBron, getting off in one of those games.
Definitely.
I thought that was great. I don't know why they shied away from that. Can they fix it? To kind of piggyback off of June, I don't know if the NBA can fix it. This is more of a players thing. I do understand the we don't want to get hurt, we don't want to tweak anything else. I get that. Well, then opt out, bro. Like if that's the case, opt out. Like June was saying, give the opportunity to someone else that's going to be way more enthusiastic about being in the All Star game, and that's going to play harder, play some defense first off, not let this 360 total score go over by any means. I don't know if the NBA can fix it. I thought that they had it down packed for a little bit. They shied away from it, in my opinion. I don't think it's a corporate thing per se. I think this is an individual thing. This is a player thing. So I don't know that the NBA can police, players individually like that to play harder.
Kev, did you have something?
Yeah, even to the point of like not getting hurt. Like, how many All-Star games has there been and how many injuries have we seen? Like, these guys, we're not asking you to go 100%, but like 60, 70% at least. They were going like 20% last night. Like, they were
And it's like,
literally,
bro, on crucial possessions, right? Like you're trying to get a stop here, right? The lead has gotten a little too big. Let's tighten up a little bit. And when you start thinking about injuries, it's like I believe in the law of attraction. I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction. And so, like, have the good energy, think positive, man. Go out there and have fun. Shit happens. At the end of the day, shit happens. I get it. And if you're the number one seed right now, we can't screw this up, right? I get that. But to Kev's point, man, 60%, 70%, 10%, 25% is just this is TNT you guys are on. Like you guys are 8 p.m. Sunday night TNT. That's a prime fucking time slot for y'all to be looking like this, scoring 211 points on, like so. And then to go back one more point, I had I forgot. Nah, I forgot. If it comes up, I'll bring it up.
All good. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit as far as the effort aspect of it. We've seen Drew League highlights, and these guys in LA in the offseason are going crazy in the Drew League, clamping motherfuckers up. Like, no, you're not going to score on me. And there's only like maybe 500 people in the building. It's not billions of people watching on TNT, bro.
Even Lifetime Fitness, those pickups at Lifetime Fitness at the famous gym. And so, like, Instagram gets the better version of the All-Star game than TNT. That just doesn't really make sense. And that's off-season work. Of course, y'all could be getting hurt here, but, like, y'all are looking at it as practice for the new year. It's kind of the same concept. Like, I get it. You guys are in the middle of the season, and look, the NBA season is long, and we're not going to kind of take away from the fact that it is a grueling 82 games. But at the same time, bro, y'all are making what y'all are making. This is something that guys used to really feel honored for. And so if it was the first time and you guys are the newest people to do it, and it's like, why they got us doing this? This is crazy. This is something, as long as the NBA has been around, they've been doing. And everybody has had a great time with it. Real quick, I remember my point, Kev. You mentioned like Anthony Edwards was a guy who came out and said about the effort and the lack thereof because they're looking at it as a break. Anthony Edwards is one of the faces of the league at this point. So if we got one of the best players and one of the faces of the league talking like this, we got a problem. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And he's young. He's not even, he's not LeBron's age. He's not like a guy who needs,
Not even 25, bro.
the one thing I would say is maybe, and I don't know because I'm not an NBA player, but possibly maybe if you cut down on the required media appearances and things like that, maybe they feel a little bit more like, okay, when Sunday comes around, maybe I'll play a little bit harder because I haven't had to go and make all these appearances here and there and everywhere else. So that's the one thing that I can think of that's like, okay, maybe if we cut down the required appearances at certain events, you get them to play a little or want to play a little bit more at least on come Sunday. But yeah, I mean, still at the end of the day, like we've seen this be a competitive basketball game for years and years before the last few when guys are scoring 196, 211 points. So um it's definitely, I think, more of a lack of wanting to compete. Kobe said the same thing about the Drew League. Like guys are going harder in a high school gym in LA during the summer than they are for the All Star game, and this is a showcase. Like this should showcase the top talents in the league, and the fans should get at least some sort of I give a shit.
Hey, I mean, when you got to go get two G Leaguers to get into the dunk competition, and one of the G Leaguers is the defending dunk competition champion, I want to kick it back to Saturday a little bit. June, and because you gave me a little bit of a face, you really don't think Jacob should have been in there over Jaylen Brown, who made some weird move after the fact after he dunked the ball? Like, he got robbed, bro. Like, Jacob Topping, if that was his second round dunker or whatever, or his first round dunk, imagine what the last round, if he was in the final, would have been, bro. He was setting up to do something crazy, and he got robbed. And I bring this back to ask you guys, should we switch the order of competitions on Saturday? Because the dunk competition used to be my favorite thing to watch when I was a little kid growing up. And now it's kind of like, I know everybody can shoot threes, but motherfuckers shooting threes is starting to be a little more entertaining than motherfuckers dunking the ball at this point. I mean, you jumped over Kai Sanat. Blake Griffin jumped over a car, bro. He jumped over a car. You're jumping over Kai Sanat and doing some, late gesture to make it seem like, you wasn't really looking.
Kai Sanat sitting down, by the way.
Should we change the order? Should we look at maybe the dunk competition going first on Saturday, skills competition, and then 3-point contest? June?
I think the skills challenge is fine where it's at. I wasn't too enthused about it. Another key is that I was out watching this, so on Saturday night, excuse me, it's crazy that it's this obvious that the NBA has an issue because there was a UFC fight scheduled on the same night, and I understand a UFC fight main card getting, like all the attention and a UFC main card getting the sound. But the prelim should not be getting the sound over like any type of All-Star Weekend event. That's crazy. And
that is crazy.
Where we are in 2024, I think the skills challenge should stay. I think you do switch dunk contest and 3-point contest to end the night on. It would have been great if they ended the night dunk contest, like skills, dunk, 3-point, and then Sabrina Steph. Boom. Night would have felt like, wow, okay, great. What an event. But very underwhelming finish to see. No disrespect, but like you said, two G Leaguers. We want to see NBA stars in this dunk contest. And to go back to your first point, as far as Jacob Toppin being robbed or whatnot, we also know that this is, and much like Jacob Toppin should know, this is a popularity contest, right? So if you're
1,000%,
you're gonna win this, and if you're gonna be the Mac McClung of this, it's gotta be something really wow. And you said he was probably saving his best for last. Not to say he shouldn't save his best for last, but I think you got to come a little harder than that when you know you're going against the likes of a Jaylen Brown and a defending champion. So Jaylen Brown, I do have to say this. Michael Jackson glove is crazy.
You still can't go left in my head. Pause. Like you still
Michael
you
Jackson
can't do
glove
it.
is crazy jumping. So all right. I do want to acknowledge the fact that I think it was very nice that he acknowledged Terrence Clark. And, it was a great moment for the NBA and the NBA family to, shine light on someone who definitely lost their life too soon and could have been something in this league. I don't think it's fair that Jaylen Brown used like an empathy, sympathy type of crowd pleaser, for a weak dunk, like a very weak dunk, and which he messed up on the first attempt. And he just put the judges in a position, in my opinion, of like, I mean, what do you want us to do? You know what I'm saying? Well, what are we gonna boo this?
Fair.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So I think it was very unfair that Jaylen Brown chose to do that. But also at the same time, if that's where his heart was, I can't be mad at that. To then follow up with the Michael Jackson and then the Kai Sanat, Jason Tatum throwing the ball 12 feet in the air, like it was just bad altogether. Jaime Jaquez came with an intent and a purpose. I think he knew he wouldn't win this competition. However, he paid homage to his culture and his hometown country, or his family's hometown country, and also to a Miami Heat legend and champion in both of his dunks. And I couldn't ask for more as a Heat fan and someone who I like I said, I told you, I didn't think Jaquez was going to win the event. I thought Mac McClung was going to go back to back. And I wish Mac McClung made that double clutch, drop the ball, catch it. I wish he made that
was fire.
That was hard. My thing is, when you do a dunk twice, it don't hit the same. It really don't. And so I have an analogy. It might not be inappropriate, so I'm not gonna say it, but it's just like that. And so
I could imagine. I I think that I feel you, June. I totally agree with you. Like when, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I would agree with you. 6, 7 years ago. I think now it's watered down. I think if you do it 3 times, then yeah, that's different. It's like, all right, bro, like you didn't even practice for this shit.
So,
Apparently.
so I think if the dunk is something where on the first try and you miss that, we're still looking like, whoa, hold on, he was about to do that. That's okay. It's post nut clarity, bro. It's like if you hit and you still chilling and want to cuddle, it was a good dunk. But if you hit and you like time to go, it's like it's just. What are we trying to see this guy try this dunk 3 times for? That dunk not even worth 3 attempts. That's the kind of vibe that I get from it. And so with Jacob Toppin's first kind of like through the leg, it was nice.
360 through the
But we've
leg,
seen it.
backwards,
But
two hands.
I think we've seen it, bro. I think we've seen it. So come outside with something we ain't see. Be a little more creative if you're gonna miss. If not, knock that shit down on the first attempt and then get a 48, get a 50. Like that's hard to get on the first attempt. There has to be levels to it. So you can't do the shit 3 times and we're like, I get it. All right, 49. Like, that's me personally. I think Jacob Toppin put out an exciting performance. I think he should have been in the final. I thought you meant he got robbed of the championship. He got robbed of being able to compete for the championship. So yes,
Yeah.
I get that. All in all, I think Mac McClung had the most exciting night though, and he got bounce. Like he's got actual bounce like Toppin, but Toppin's a little longer with the arms. But McClung could bounce, and it's exciting to see him get up there and put them dunks up.
Yeah, I enjoy seeing Wembenyama kind of, skills competition, running up and down the court, trying to be nimble, trying to be quick and shit like that. That was interesting to see. Like I said, I did appreciate the team aspects of it. Kev, you got any final thoughts on the Saturday night festivities?
Yeah, I hated everything except for the 3-point contest. The skills challenge is stupid. Go back to the individual. Go back to making like the passes harder and not monster truck size wheel holes that like anybody can pass it through. I hated it. Like I hated the skill. What I hate what they've done to the skills challenge. First of all, like when Dwayne Wade was winning skills challenge, when Bam Adebayo won the skills challenge, it was not this. It was I even liked that iteration where Bam won it because they had the two going at the same time, head to head.
Yeah, it was a
Like,
race, not a
yeah,
time. Yeah.
I'll take that. But like what they did to it, I don't know why they changed it or why they did this, but to me it's silly. 3-point contest is always going to be the 3-point contest to me. Even with the new like the starry ball, it's a little just an add-on that some make a little money, have starry sponsor it. 3 points, cool. um Sabrina Steph, I loved. I wish they would have went 2 rounds actually though and done like a cumulative score. It'll be interesting to see like if Caitlin Clark might get a chance to join them next year.
They have to, bro. They have to. 2-on-2. They got
Do
to.
some
Two on
sort of,
two.
yeah, 2-on-2
Splash
maybe.
Bros,
Or,
Sabrina, Caitlin Clark.
or I'm
Crazy.
thinking like Steph and Duncan, maybe, 2 best shooters in the world.
Yes, sir.
And then yeah, the dunk contest was terrible. Jaylen Brown was the worst dunker on Saturday night, and we had to sit there and watch 2 extra dunks from him. Jaime Jaquez jumped over Shaq, and they were giving him a 46, which also that's another thing. Why change the scoring from 1 to 10 to 4? I don't even know.
Point 8, 0.9. Like
It's so dumb. And then you've got the judges don't know how to score it in the first place because they give Jaquez a 46 for jumping over Shaq, and then Jaylen Brown got a 49 for jumping over Kai Cenat sitting down. So
and also GP Gary Payton, have some respect, bro. 46 for Jaime Jaquez, bro, jumping over your ex-finals teammate, Shaquille O'Neal, and a reason that you have a ring. Put some respect, bro. Put some respect. I was very, very disappointed.
I even gave Gary Payton an ovation when they announced him. So I was a little upset that he did not go the Dwayne Wade route and give Jaime a 50 for both
just
dunks.
because.
But yeah, Saturday was just outside of the 3-point contest, I was not a fan of any of it.
Damn. I don't know. I enjoyed Saturday. I don't know. It was cool. I thought it was
Nah, I
cool.
mean, I don't know if it's maybe something of like
The shooting
where it's
competition I
been,
thought
you
was
know,
cool
where we
too.
were, bro. Like the NBA, this used to be like, bro, All-Star Weekend was like, let's try not to make plans for All-Star Weekend because I really want to see what Jason Richardson's gonna do in a dunk contest. What this guy, Nate Robinson, Dwight Howard, up until Aaron Gordon, and that was Aaron Gordon. Zach LaVine was the peak of the dunk contest, and I don't know that we'll see something as spectacle like as that.
And
The
I think
3-point contest is cool because my fault, Kev, but it's shooting. You know, like it's knocking down a shot, so I could appreciate that. But go ahead, my fault.
no, I was gonna say, I think even between like there were years where it was like on a downward trend, and then you had the Aaron Gordon Levine kind of bring it back and give it a little bit of life. And I think we'll probably get that eventually, where we get another one of those dunk contests that it's like, oh wow, okay, it's back, but then can you sustain that? Like I think you needed to be back with legitimate guys who want to. It's goes back to the competitiveness thing, like
Exactly. And that's
guys.
the problem. This era, they're not built the same, bro. You had to do
Oh,
1 year of college to make it to this league, and then 4 years. If you do decent, you might get a max contract. Like that's where we're at. And I'm dragging it a little bit, but it's close to that. So
but
how could you expect it?
it's even before you get to the NBA. Now you're getting checked. So like with NIL, like you're going to college. Rick Pitino's talking shit about these guys, and some of them might be making more money than him on NIL. Maybe that's why he's mad. So,
I think you're dragging that one. I don't think any of those guys are making more than $3 million a year at St. John's. But hey, they could be. Queens, New York. Stand the fuck up. That's awesome. I think at this point, and shout out to ESPN Talk Radio. I think we're just setting ourselves up for failure if we're expecting these players to come out on All-Star Weekend and really compete on Sunday night. I think we have to see this for what it is, and it's marketing, it's big business, it's let me
Yeah,
put.
but EP, there was a shift. There was a shift. The NBA didn't have this issue. It's a competitive issue, and it's a competitive issue outside of All Star Weekend. This is why they did the load management rule. The NBA just has an issue, and Adam Silver don't know what to do. He can't. That's why he's making new rules. Oh well, you know what? If you want to win MVP, play 65 games. Like they're throwing shit at us because it's like at this point, Adam Silver looking at us like, what do you want me to do? These guys don't want to they don't want to play hard night in, night out. Bro, the NBA used to be, bro, you will get your ass bust on this floor if you're not coming out with your whole 100% effort every night. It's grown men. It's not a grown men's league anymore, in my opinion. I think it's a young era. And not to say that that's a horrible thing, but I've seen both. And from my opinion, it's I would definitely rather see the grown men competitive, guys want to kill each other every night versus guys want to just shoot, guys want to, play ISO ball and be flashy and not try every night or every possession. Where are the Russell Westbrooks of this era?
1,000%. I totally agree with you, but that was kind of like also my point a little bit. It's a young era. It's a young man's game at this point. If these motherfuckers don't want to play, who am I to come out and All-Star break Sunday night be like, these guys, they're gonna play. I swear this under better fucking cash. I'm gonna see a competitive
Well, you
game.
said Dre put that under. I mean, you talking about Dre? Because Dre.
No, I'm just talking in general because
No, I'm asking because that's a dumbass bet. I don't bet, but under on the All Star break in 2024, you rich, my boy. You just betting shit.
360 points is kind of crazy. It's the highest
It
All-Star
is,
game.
and 211 points is crazy.
But that's kind of what I'm saying. I can't expect these motherfuckers to come out and compete.
Did you see the team that lost? The West, KD, LeBron, Anthony Edwards, Cat, Steph, Dame. I'm not Dame. Devin Booker, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard.
Julian, you know what the definition of insanity is? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And in the past couple of years, we can't after the past couple of years, I feel like we just can't expect these motherfuckers to just out of nowhere come out and start playing like it's fucking April, end of March, beginning of April type shit. It's just I feel like it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. Especially like when Kev just referenced NIL money is these motherfuckers is paid before they get in the league now. They're not eating oodles and noodles on campus anymore. These motherfuckers is at STK
These
and
ain't the struggle babies, bro.
yeah, and Brooklyn
It's
Chop
like
House and
literally
shit like that.
impossible.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. We're gonna keep this in the NBA. I don't want to spend too much time on this All-Star break because it kind of came and went just like the topic. Now, at this point, just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, we have to look at the All-Star break as like June was saying, the ramp up to when we really start watching basketball and when we really start caring about the NBA and what the hell's going on in the league. And I feel like this is going to be a good second half of the year. Kev, what player would you say is under the most pressure to win a championship at this point?
There's a couple like different answers I want to give.
Well,
But
choose the one I'm not choosing.
for the record, I have no idea which one that is.
Yeah,
But
right.
I will go another route just because my other answer, just so you know, is Jason Tatum. But I still think he's young to the point that like if he doesn't win it this year, it's okay. He'll be in Miami and win one soon enough. But my answer is a guy who should have been in Miami to start the year, and I will actually talk about later a comment that he made that shows me he still wants to be in Miami. But Damian Lillard, I think, is the like you forged your way out of Portland. You're playing with Giannis. They fired the coach and brought in Doc Rivers. Like I don't know. I just feel like Dame is yeah. It would be Giannis if Giannis didn't already have one. But Dame, I think right now is under the most quote unquote pressure. Like if I have to give an answer on that, I would say Dame just because he's getting to the latter point of his career. He's with the best team that he's played with. He forced his way out of Portland to make this happen, and yeah, I mean he's playing with one of the best in the game. So if there's a year to make it happen, it's this year, and so I would say that would be my answer is Dame.
Yeah, I actually love that after. Sorry, June. I actually love that after, especially after his comments about people diminishing players' legacies because he didn't win a ring, and that he doesn't necessarily agree with it. But he said when he does win a ring, he's definitely gonna be like, man, nigga, ain't shit. He ain't win no ring. June, who's under the most pressure right now?
Kev, real quick, what was that comment you saw? What was that comment Dame said he wants to? What you talking
Oh,
about there?
so they asked Damian Lillard to put a starting five together that would include Damian Lillard, and he said LeBron, Steph, KD, of course. And his fifth answer was not Giannis Antetokounmpo; it was Bam Adebayo. So I think that kind of solidifies the fact that what we have been saying, me and June have been saying for a while, is that Damian Lillard still wants to be a Miami Heat player, and I think I mean at this point I don't think it'll happen, but it still feels good to know that they are.
Hey, that I don't.
June, you're still on mute if you're talking.
Oh, I'm muted. Kev is muted, telling me I'm muted. So I'm
Oh,
like, you're muted. Hey, apologize. We're both talking to each other on mute, like reading each other's lips. Like, yo, you're muted. Um, I was saying it's our job as the fan to not put the energy of negativity out there and saying you don't think it's going to happen. You have to believe it can happen because it surely can. We also saw the Jimmy Butler situation play out. And Kev, I didn't know you at the time. EP, I didn't know you at the time. I was doing this podcast and I had my co-host Justin, shout out to Jay Boogie, and shout out to Danny. For those who know the real. Me, Danny, and Justin would talk week in and week out about Jimmy Butler and the countdown. When is he going to come to Miami? Because he wants to be here. Pat Riley wants him here. He's Heat culture. We need him. Jimmy Butler just makes too much sense. And then they fucking trade him to Philly. And that felt very, very harsh. Like that was Dame Lillard was worse because I mean the caliber of player is Damian Lillard. The writing was on the wall. He specifically said, I only want Miami. Jimmy was open to a couple different options. And so Jimmy goes to Philly, and it's just like, damn it, man, we missed out. But you just got to play the long game, stay a little patient, you know. And Jimmy ends up in our lap, and we go to two finals since we haven't won. But I think Damian Lillard coming next year could help us put us over the top. But to answer the question that was at hand, and the player that I think has the most pressure, it is Jason Tatum, but it isn't just Jason Tatum. I think it's Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And really, that's the Celtics for me. But Jaylen Brown just got the biggest contract in NBA history, right? Um, Jason Tatum has been in this league and has been a poster child of this league for a very long time. He's been competing in Eastern Conference Finals for a very long time. He's competed against LeBron James. He's competed against Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. He's played Steph and Clay and Andrew Wiggins and Draymond in a finals, and he still hasn't been able to put them over the hump for whatever reason. I don't think it's something that you look at and say it like tarnish his legacy or anything like that. I think he's right on track as a great player in his career right now, right? And he's very young still, like Kev said. However, it feels like this Celtics team just has everything they need every year to get there. They just can't get past a certain point. And Jason Tatum is known to, I don't want to use a word like crumble, but he's known to kind of regress as the stakes get a bit higher. He doesn't play bad. We're not going to put, he plays bad in big games. I think Jason Tatum has shown time in and time out, he's a great player. He's a clutch player. He can score late, he can score when it matters. But there are times when the game and the moment gets very big and he kind of shrinks. And so, being as though the Celtics have the record they have, right? The talent on the team that they have, the contract that Jaylen Brown has, bro, y'all time is now. Because when, if not now, when? We're gonna split Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum up eventually if they lose two more times without winning? What's it going to give? So obviously with their contract situations, they look like they'll be together for some time. However, you can't tell me that they just go and lose, say in the second round or the conference finals this year, or even in the finals, and then do the same thing next year, and everybody's just happy. Like, I'm sure there has to be some sort of change, right? So I think that's who I think about when we're talking about pressure and winning this year.
I love both of those players. I can't disagree or agree with either of you because, I mean, June, big Duke fan, me and you, big Duke fans, and I mean, Jason Tatum was, was him. Like it was like this kid's gonna come in, and for all intents and purposes, he has done the majority of what we thought he was going to do in the league. But again, it's that conversation of can he win a ring? Will he win a ring? When will he win a ring? And
sorry, it's hard because it's like Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, how like Stephen A. say,
Joe
Udoka,
Mazzulla.
and Joe Mazzulla. Like, I'm not gonna give credit to Joe Mazzulla as far as being a good coach. I think that he's put in a prime position, much like Jason Tatum was drafted into a great space. I mean, Celtics was like, listen, nothing better could have happened this year in 2017 or 2016 when we drafted Jason Tatum at number 3. And so,
After they played Philly.
What's that?
After they played Philly.
Shame on Philly is what we should be saying for not drafting Jason Tatum over Markelle goddamn Fultz. Or was it Fultz that year?
Yeah, Philly traded up.
Yeah,
to get
Fultz,
and then drafted Fultz.
Shout out to Markelle Fultz, man. I just didn't see it. That was another thing. This is very random. I didn't see it. I didn't see Fultz as a number one. He played good at Washington, but I ain't see number one, bro. I didn't.
My opinion on that is you should never be the first overall. No. You should never be the first overall pick if you can't even get your team to the NCAA tournament. If you can't even get your team to a tournament that involves 68 teams, how can I expect you to get to my team as the number one overall pick to a tournament that's only 16 teams?
Talk that shit, Kev. Talk that shit.
So picking a guy whose college team won 9 games first overall, he's not that good of a player if he can't get his team more than 9 wins in a season to be picked number one overall. So I think Markelle Fultz is a great role player, but to go number one overall is crazy.
And he fucked his jumper up too.
Who was number 2? Was it Simmons and Tatum? Oh,
Lonzo.
Lonzo and Tatum. But we're here, 2024 now. That was 7 years ago. Tatum's still ringless. He's been to three. He's been to four, I believe, conference finals now. One finals, because two of those losses by the Heat. One finals, and that was his. That was 2022, and Steph. It was pretty destined for Steph that year. I'm not gonna lie, but Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. I think it's on both of them. I think it's on both of them. The city of Boston is going to be very disappointed this year when, not if, but when they fall short again. And again, the East is it's crazy, and it's crazy to think of us being super Heat fans. Like us saying Boston's going to fall, like that's obviously giving them shit. Hey, if they make it, they make it. But I do know that it comes down to coaching in the playoffs, and it comes down to big players making big plays at big moments. And they lack that a bit. Milwaukee, you know what? Let's just continue with this show.
Listen, a lot of storylines going on. We referenced Doc Rivers, him seemingly not really wanting to be coaching in Milwaukee, maybe regretting the decision, even though you say he doesn't regret the decision. And then you take it to the West Side. You got the Clippers, and they're, big three, kind of, not even kind of, definitely putting it together finally and getting the ball rolling. You got SGA showing his ass paws essentially on the court every time he walks out onto the court. You have the Luka Doncic. Can he get over the hump? D Book, KD, can they get over the hump? And Bradley Beal. What would you, Kev, say is the biggest storyline at this point post All-Star break for the rest of the season?
I think the
And I'm
biggest
sorry
storyline.
to cut you off. I'm sorry I didn't have any like Heat, story or like
Listen, I
Heat
could make you. I
mini
could make you a
headline.
Heat story. What would DeLon Wright do in the second half of this? No, but I think the biggest storyline for the second half of the season is: are we going to have a playoffs without LeBron and Steph in the West?
Oh
Because
shit.
currently they both sit
Kev
9
be
and
in his bag, bro. He be thinking with that thinking cap for real.
10. They both currently sit at 9 and 10, which would make them play each other in their first playing game. So one of them would be out, and then they'd get the winner or the loser. I'm sorry, of Dallas, Sacramento, who are two good teams. So the West is very good this year again, and it's going to be tough. But Steph is hitting this little streak that he hits where it looks like he's almost like willing his team to wins. So we'll see how that works and how Clay coming off the bench works. Like it worked great in that first game before the All Star break. So if Clay can kind of reinvent himself as a sixth man type player who can come in and really affect the game again, Golden State could be a scary team going forward. But I think that's the biggest thing is are LeBron and Steph going to be able to get their teams into the playoffs this postseason?
June?
So I think for me, and shit, that's a great story, Kev. I was not expecting to hear that. I didn't think about it in that regard because who thinks of a playoff in the NBA without the two top guys, like the two
Facts.
OGs, LeBron and Steph? And so, very very good point. And I'll be excited to watch for the rest of the season where they end up being seeded, because if we do get a play-in, the play-in will be cool. I think we got a play-in versus Lakers
The very
Warriors
first,
like in
very first 20
2021.
2021. I think that was the first. It was
2021,
the
I think
very
it was.
first year that we had a
Yeah,
plan, and they were the 7 and 8.
yeah. So it was a good game, and but wow, it's crazy to think about. They both made the playoffs that year, though, right? They both ended
Yeah,
up getting in. So my thing is, I think the Bucks are the big thing to watch here. Can they turn this thing around, Doc Rivers and the Bucks? Because since he's gotten there, it's looking like 3-7 or so in the last 10, and they've blown some leads. They've We talked about it last week when we talked about who we thought was gonna win, in the Bucks Memphis game. I was totally wrong, and Memphis comes out and finds a way to upset the Bucks. And at this point, it's like, wow, it's starting to surprise me because at the end of the day, whether we want to make all the jokes we want about Coach Rivers, like this is still a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Dame Lillard, Chris Middleton, Brooke Lopez, and Bobby Portis. Like, simply put, no matter who's coaching right now, should be able to put together a game plan. And no matter what the game plan is, you guys should be skilled enough to be able to be better genuinely than the team across from you. Now, two things I wanted to point out that I want to look towards in this storyline is that their best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who re-signed with them and says he wants to continue in Milwaukee, and he had a chance to. I remember when it was like Giannis to Miami, and he could have went anywhere, and he wanted to stick with the grind, and he finally won. So it was a great thing. But I think he's getting to the point where he's realizing, hey, I don't know what the fuck we got going on over here right now, but it's getting a little crazy because he did quote saying that all of the coaching changes have been draining. And you have to imagine, you fire Coach Bud, you got Coach Griffin, you fire Coach Griffin, then you go to Joe Prunty, the assistant coach for the interim, then you find their replacement, Doc Rivers. And this is within the last year. You know, it's a calendar, less than a calendar year.
Facts.
For, mind you, the relationship between a player and a coach in the NBA as a professional sport player, it's a grown-ass man. You got my respect kind of thing. Hey, we're going to do this. You're the new boss right now. And to have 4 different bosses within a year and try to maintain number 1 in the East or a top seed in the East and be the best and always have a target on your back. Now you got Dame Lillard and everybody's looking at you guys as a team to beat, but you guys are the team that's getting beat at this point. And so one of the things in this 10-game span is that their defense has gotten a little better throughout this time, where their points per game has gone down. So they're only allowing 113.6 per 100 possessions compared to 116.8 under Coach Griffin. But their offensive production has gone down drastically from 120.6 under Griffin to now 111.9. And so I don't know if it's Doc Rivers not sure where he's supposed to be putting his guys, if that's in the right spots, or if Giannis and Dame need to be the leaders of this group and really take things into their hands. And more so Dame Lillard, in the sense that we saw what he can do with a team in Portland when he's that guy. You've got all the talent around you. And Shaq told him best at All-Star Weekend, if you need to go yoke somebody up and talk to them and tell them this is what I need from you, cut the shit. Listen, bro, you are the leader of this team and you have to do so. But it's very, very interesting what the Bucks are going to do and how they're going to look in the first round after being first round exits. Remember, this is a team that fired their coach because they lost in the first round to an 8th seed, and they were like, all right, well, that's not okay. But
And the way things stand right now,
they look worse.
They're also the 3 seed, and the 6 seed is currently Indiana, who I do not think they want to see in the playoffs because Indiana's beat them 4 times this year already. And granted, the playoffs thing slowed down, and Indiana might not be able to run offense like that, but they have their number. They are in the Bucks' head to the point that I felt like almost Giannis was keeping the ball away from Tyrese Halliburton yesterday so that Dame could win the MVP.
Yo,
So
no cap, bro. You don't want to see Indiana, especially after you fire Griffin when you're not really having a bad season. They were number 2 in the East when they fired Griffin. It was like June said. I could understand Giannis saying it's draining. Sorry to cut you off, Kev.
oh no, that's just the only point I wanted to make is that right now, as it stands, you would have to go play Indiana in the first round. And if you go through these ups and downs that you've gone through this year after the first round exit last year, losing to an 8 seed and come in this year, you're the 2 seed, you fire your coach, now you drop to the 3 seed, and then you go lose to a team in the first round that beat you 4 times already during the regular season. So essentially,
Giannis is going overseas next year. Fuck it.
Somebody like there's going to be a lot for them to deal with in the offseason.
I think that this Bucks team does deal with like mental losses. Like they take a lot of mental losses, like in the sense that they be in their heads. If you can, figure out ways to stop certain things, like Giannis is in his, we've seen him be in his head, during games for stretches. And I think Spo really brought that out of like where his frustration, you know what I mean? And build the wall, right? And there were games where Giannis couldn't be as effective as he once was. And it's like, you would imagine this guy is so huge and strong. How not? Pause. Like, how not? But sometimes it's a mental game, and that would go into them playing the Pacers and the Pacers having their numbers. So that's an interesting thing to look forward to as well.
You guys have any closing thoughts on the state of the NBA before we wrap it up with EP's EPL corner?
Kev?
I mean, I'm just, me, I'm excited to see what I truly think that there is an iteration of this lineup that's spoken, fine, and put together that can get them back to the finals. And so I'm looking forward to this next. It's not even half of the season. This last part of the season, post All-Star break, where things are going to start to like get real, and teams are going to have to figure it out. And we are getting down to like the meat and potatoes of the season, and that's what I'm most excited for.
I
Definitely
love,
excited.
I
Go
love.
ahead,
Sorry to
Rudy.
cut you off, June. I love how you guys feel like how I feel as a Chiefs fan now, where it's like, the season doesn't. Really, I'll talk to you in May. I'll talk to you in June. You guys are in the play-in right now, and I think honestly that's scary because you put a man with his back to the wall with nothing to lose, like in the team like the Miami Heat. And I've said it before on this podcast, Jimmy Butler thrives in underdog situations. And if you leave this man in the play-in and tell him to get you to the NBA Finals, I am 85 to 93% sure he's going to do it. June, final thought.
Yeah, well, final thought on the NBA. I just want to wish Duncan Robinson a happy birthday before we get back to basketball. All right, listen, shout out to you, bro. I love watching you play basketball, man. And I will have to repeat, everybody was down and out. Everybody was trade Duncan Robinson. Everybody said 5 years, $90 million is a waste
$90
of money.
million man.
$18 million a year is a waste of money on one of the best shooters in the league. Okay, hold on. But then we find the resurgence in the 2023 playoffs. And then in the finals, Duncan Robinson is one of the best Miami Heat players. And now coming into a struggle where the Heat couldn't find an offensive fucking basket to save their life, Duncan Robinson has come alive in the last 3 to 4 games here and can't miss threes. He's like 11 or 15 in his last 2 games. Shout out to you. Happy birthday. And then I wanted to take it to the MLB real quick before you get into EP's EPL and pick something, because I saw this comment about a specific player and it really irked my nerves. And it was Anthony Rendon. Listen, Anthony Rendon, I believe once was a great player, once really, contributed something to this league. I don't remember his recent contributions. A lot of times he is on, I think the last contribution he made was like yoking up a fan in Oakland. And hey, I'm a fan of that. Was that
Nationals World Series?
Yeah, but this past season he yoked up a fan.
Oh yeah.
2019 is, they say this. I saw a tweet. 2019 is 5 years ago. It's just crazy. But he's on the DL 60% of the year. He's on I want to say the number is like $275 million contract. And comment came out from a presser he did where he said that baseball is not a top priority of his. Now, that could have been spun around. It could have been what did he mean by that? I watched the interview, and basically he's early morning at the clubhouse. They're interviewing him, and they asked him if baseball was a top priority. And he said, no, baseball is not a top priority. It's never been a top priority for me. If it's not faith or family, then I'm not going to put it first. And as much as I understand that sentiment as a man and you having morals and values and, appreciating your faith and your family and putting that first, we're not talking about that, right? Let's be for real. Saying that baseball is not a top priority, first of all, to make it to the Major League Baseball, it had to have been a top priority for 90% of your life. You had to sacrifice parties, sacrifice family, sacrifice friends, and make time to be one of the best players coming out of your state, to then being one of the best players to play for your minor league team, to then, or being drafted, then minor league team, then, making the professional league and the MLB, and then being one of the better players on that team to contribute to a World Series. You did all that without it being a top priority. That's cap. So cut the shit. I get that you're tired, you're annoyed, you don't want to answer questions every day. You feel like this is a job, but bro, they looked out for you after you did what you did in Washington. You came to LA, you got the money, and you've been on the DL since. So for you to come out and have like this attitude with the reporters, and I'm not saying, as a man, you listen, talk however you want, bro, but the lies is just crazy. And to me, younger kids looking at this, it's not a good example. Like, where is this is just in general. I don't know if it's me and my character or who I am, I feel like as a man, but like, where is y'all integrity? You know what I'm saying? I think integrity is one of the biggest parts of sports. And without it, sports aren't as good as they can be. So in basketball, I ask that the guys have more integrity during All-Star break and all the festivities so that the fans can, bro, Adam Silver is charging us an arm and a leg to try to make it out to whatever town it is to watch our favorite players. I don't even pay that money, so I'm not complaining for me, but I know that people are spending their hard-earned money on it. And if in a sense like baseball, like it's like that Ben Simmons, like, bro, you got the contract, Hassan Whiteside got the contract, and we just see the lack of effort off rip. Like, come on, guys. Let's be better. Let's be better. That's all I got.
Hey, I mean, this guy Anthony Rendon, I mean, Kev referenced, Nationals World Series. He hasn't cracked 60 games played as an Angel since he went to LA in the 2020 season. It's been a decline since he got to LA. I mean, the games played due to injuries, always on the IR. You're, 10th year in the league, 11th year in the league this coming season. I'm not going to create any excuses for this guy because that is nasty work when you say it's just a job. I mean, this is just a job that millions of people would want to play. Millions of children are working out from the ages of 4 to 12, 4 to 16, just to have a shot, a small percentage favor of, hey, maybe I can make it to the big leagues. Maybe I don't have to leave my family, 5,000 miles away and go play in, Asia or Japan or China or, whatever. I can just stay locally in the USA, in the continental USA. It's nasty work for you to just take it for granted like that and make it public that you take it for granted. On the same breath, I do share June's sentiments. Like, as a man, I get that family, faith, priorities, making sure that you have that support system around you. But at the end of the day, you sacrificed years, your life, essentially, to play this
Especially
game.
only playing 60 games a year. I mean, it seems like you got more than enough time for family.
Hasn't cracked. The most games he's played since 2020 when he joined the Angels is 58 in the 2021
you
season.
won a World Series, went to LA, signed a $200+ million contract, and haven't played more than a third of the season since. That's fucking crazy to come and say that, babe. Clearly, you know what? I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping. Clearly, baseball is not a top priority for you. But to say it has never been, cut the shit.
Kev, you got any comments on Anthony Rendon?
No, not really. I mean, it is what it is. I think he was trying to say something to make it sound better than it is, and I think
He was. It just sounds
didn't-
horrible.
Yeah, it didn't come off well, and so
He
I'm
was
sure.
also very dickhead about it, Kev. You know what I'm saying? Thanks.
I did see he said it is a priority, baseball. He said it's not the priority. So I think he was trying to, do
It's also cap. It's also cap. I don't care how you cut it. It's cap. Bro, to make it to the MLB, baseball has to be a priority. Now, the fact, all right, listen, if it's not a priority, we got a problem. And if I'm the GM of the Angels, you're traded, my boy. You're cut or you're traded. Huh?
Yeah,
Say less.
Yeah, because
say less, bro. It's not a priority. Come on,
contracts are guaranteed, so can't cut
fair,
them.
fair, but like you don't play anyway, so what are we doing here?
Facts. Who cares? Oh my God.
They don't have that Ohtani money coming in anymore.
Right.
Yeah, facts. Now the lights really on you, Mr. Rendon. Now we're not talking about Ohtani in LA no. Well, at least not that side of LA anyway, for that matter. We're not talking about, Ohtani in the red and white no more. He's in the blue and white now. We're not talking about him in the red and white. You in the red and white. So are you gonna play more than 60 games this season? And are you gonna bat higher than, what is his high in the last? All right, 286 his first year in LA is not bad, but 240 was his second best year after 286. Can you bat over 240, which 1 for 5, 20% MLB is great. But I digress. We'll move on.
In 50 games, it's not that bad, but
That's fair. Hey, yo, we'll kick it over to the pitch, as they call it, across the pond, as they say. Couple of updates. Listen, Bayern Munich picked up Harry Kane from Tottenham Hotspur, and now, for some odd reason, their Bundesliga championship run, in my opinion, listen, there's still about half of the season left, in my opinion, is done. You are in second place. You'll get Champions League, but you're 8 points behind Bayer Leverkusen. And with Champions League, and I just don't see Bayern Munich winning the Bundesliga. Focus on Champions League. And then we got the EPL, where Aston Villa, who I've been raving about, have dropped to third place now, right below Arsenal and Liverpool, EPL powerhouses, of course, at all times. Tottenham Hotspur, who I just referenced, is fifth. Man U getting a couple wins here and there. They need a couple more wins. They need to focus. They need to, clamp down if they want to make a run to at least Champions League next year in the top 4 in the EPL. And then speaking of Champions League, we got the first leg of the second round. Well, the second round of the first leg. I should say that backwards. The second round of the first leg starting tomorrow with Inter Milan playing Atletico Madrid in Milan. Should be a good game. PSV Eindhoven, Netherlands, out of the Dutch league, is at home facing another German powerhouse. Well, the other German powerhouse by Borussia Dortmund, who Erling Haaland came from to go to Man City. Great week in Champions League. And just to kind of, move it over to Wednesday, FC Porto from Portugal will take on Arsenal at home in the first leg. Fuck it. You guys don't know what I'm saying. They're going to be there. And then Napoli, one of my favorite teams to watch, will be at home against Barcelona. And Mbappe, it's interesting because it was confirmed that he's going to Real Madrid, and now there's reports saying the deal is still being penned. It's not official. It hasn't been signed. But players are already talking. It's inevitable. Players are already talking about him at Real Madrid. And like I said, once he gets there, Los Blancos will be blacking out. I might just become a Real Madrid fan at that point. I'm not even going to hold you. I'm a French National League, French national team fan. If Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, or Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, I might just convert.
We are a Mbappe household.
Facts. And shouts to my boy Frenchie, grew up in France. He even told me, he's like, look, he was going to the Spanish league. He wasn't going to go to England. It is what it is. He's going to the Spanish league. He's going to Real Madrid. Benzema left. He's in,
Hey, the greats went there, bro. We're talking about Cristiano and Messi. We're not talking about Listen, I don't want to put nobody's name out there, but we're talking about Cristiano and Messi. He wants to follow the likes of.
No cap. And that is my EPL's corner. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I do have one request. It's that we should name this podcast this episode should be named "You're Not Like That." If we could just do that.
You know I'm with all the smoke.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cardi in the chat, man. We love you, bro.
Facts. Shout out to Cardi in the chat. Always tapping in. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, boys and girls, as we cross the hour 13, hour 14 mark, this has been your Monday night All Things Sports episode. NBA, EPL, Rick Pitino spazzing. What else could you ask for?
Anthony Rendon not playing.
Ohtani out of that side of LA, took it over to the Dodgers. Listen, we won't be here Thursday. We apologize to all the viewers and listeners. We won't be here Thursday. We will be recognizing and mourning the life of Christopher Fletcher. I will be in South Florida back home for it. We'll see you guys back next week, Monday, more than likely.
Maybe do it Wednesday. We never know. We'll
Maybe
see.
do it Wednesday. We might surprise you on your head top. We appreciate you all. If you tapped in on the live, thank you so much. We did have a lot of viewers, not a lot of chatters, but a lot of viewers in there early. So if you tapped in on the live, we appreciate you. You could have been anywhere in the world on this beautiful Monday evening, but you were with us. If you're watching this, on the YouTube post or listening to it on all your streaming platforms, thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe, follow each of us. You know, we kind of entertaining on social media, each of us. You know what I'm saying? We all have our little quirks. We'll see you guys Monday. If not,